All right, so as occurs every year, it is budget season. As many of you know, state aid numbers came out 2 weeks ago, and by statute, we have to do a tentative budget presentation. So this presentation is going to be posted online very shortly, if it's not already, and you can find that by going to the Board of Education page, going to agendas, and then finding today's agenda, and then it'll be posted under there. Additionally, we will create a budget page, and that will have both the presentation and the recording of the presentation tonight. So presentation objectives for the budget we have outlined here. I'm going to describe the budget process and timeline. I'm going to talk about what's happened over the last couple of years and what's put us in the current position. We have plans for next year, our revenues and expense drivers. We will present a balanced budget, and then lastly, we will talk about the proposed tax impact of the presented budget. So we really anchor everything, as you know, in the district goals. So we have our 4 district goals outlined here. This is really at the heart of the work that we do, and so we always want to lead with this. You'll see much more about the district goals and sort of their focus areas as we move forward. Student enrollment projected for next year is 1,318, and this is K through 12, so this doesn't include preschool students. As you know, we've expanded preschool significantly. But if you look over the last 4 years or so, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, there really has been a significant increase in enrollment. We seem to perhaps have leveled off a little bit. We know from the demographic report that we are expecting more students potentially. We haven't necessarily seen that so far, but we are over 1,300 students and pretty firmly there. So budget process and timeline. The objectives of the budget process is really about understanding short-term and long-term goals, how everything fits in with our objectives and our district goals, providing the confidence to the community that what we're spending money on is aligned to student needs, and then the demonstration that our budgeting needs will serve us not just next year, but then moving forward. We have 3 levels of budget priorities that we work on with our staff members and our budget managers. The first is level 1 priorities, which are required by law. The second one are required by board policy. So many of you know Dunellen High School has a credit requirement well above the state requirements, and so that requires perhaps higher staffing levels or those sorts of things. And then level 3 is really about community interest. So we have strong athletics programs, performing arts initiatives, and level 3 budget priorities really speak to those points. Here's the budget process and timeline. This process starts really in the fall, in November, and we work with the budget managers. Mr. Pepe does a really good job sort of facilitating meetings with each of the budget managers, and then we go through December and January, have a lot of conversations with those folks, whittle the budget down to a reasonable place, and then we essentially wait for state aid. This year, we anticipated about a 4 to 5% state aid cut. We were very fortunate to receive a 2.67% increase, and so we had a pretty balanced budget before state aid, and then the additional funding helps us expand programming and enhance some of the services that we're providing. The next time we'll talk about the budget fully will be May 6th, which is the next the May board meeting. We will have the public hearing for the budget, and we will adopt the final budget for 25-26. So what is sort of the Dunellen Public Schools story? Right? When we talk about the budget, what we want to do is understand where we've been over the last 3 school years. So we have our 3 pillars which we've established: building relationships, creativity and innovation, and small town vibes. We talk about these internally quite a bit. I message these every week with staff. And our core mission is listed here, and this is really just sort of an adaptation of our actual mission statement. Our core mission is to prepare our students to meet the emotional and social challenges of the future by providing them with essential skills and a safe, caring, stimulating learning environment. So with that in mind, we really have tried to think about, where did we come from and what have we done over the last 3 years? So the primary drivers of our work has been these improvement cycles that we've been working on. Starting with a clear mission, we're trying to understand what our core beliefs are, what the foundation of our work is, and what our non-negotiables are. We've had a lot of conversations about what we believe, and what we believe is the thing that drives us forward when we make budget decisions and program decisions. We then look at our desired outcomes, and obviously we've focused this quite a bit this year with goal setting. So what are our goals? What does success look like, and what is achievable? We have to be reasonable given our population of students and where we've started, but we set ambitious goals and plan accordingly. Our actions and data collection really have to do with what the behaviors are. So what are people doing to influence student success, right? What type of teaching and learning is occurring? What type of professional development is there? What are administrators doing in terms of instructional walkthroughs or support? What SEL programming is there, right? These are our always behaviors, right? What are our key drivers for these things? And then monitor and adjust. So what is working, what's not, and then how do we track progress and change course if needed? So the next two slides are very thorough. And what I've tried to do is really talk about over the last 3 years, this is being the third year, right, where we've put in just tremendous amount of support. So on the left side, you see academics and SEL. On the right side, you see operations and operational enhancements. And on the bottom, you see community. So our primary focus in terms of academics and SEL really has been inclusion. We have done a tremendous amount of work in creating a more inclusive learning environment for multilingual learners and students with special needs. That has been done through staffing and programming and just a real focus on trying to get students in the least restrictive environment. We've done a lot of work with assessment and data analysis. We have strengthened our science of reading programming at the elementary school. We have supported and enhanced our arts programming, which includes, purchasing new instruments, a new kiln at Faber, the district partnership with Arts High, which has been wonderful, and many other things. We have new curriculum adoptions across multiple areas. We've got pretty new K-12 STEM computer science realignment and programming. We've been working with Urban Assembly on SEL programming. We have a thriving aquaponics and hydroponics setup at Faber in three different areas, and also the elementary gardens in the courtyard. And then we've created our school-based wellness specialist program, which has allowed us to take what was being done by a contracted service provider and bring that in-house. From an operational perspective, we have had, obviously, just if you've sort of, board members, you've been here, you've seen all of this. We've had a tremendous amount of construction work and enhancements to our facilities over the last 3 years. We have our new preschool wing, our new STEM class, a new music classroom, the first rendition of our new media center, which is getting another sort of facelift as we plan for the spring. At the middle school, we created a new assistant principal's office, a new small group instruction space, and we moved the conference room. At the high school, as part of the referendum project, we finished the auditorium, the wood shop, the cafeteria, the tech center. We've done a lot of work with both gymnasiums, new floor finish, wall pads, bleachers at the high school. We've done planning for the long-range facilities plan, a lot of beautification, lots of painting, lots of fixing things that just had been broken for some time, and just really trying to make this a welcoming place for students and staff. We have pretty much all new HVAC upgrades with a new building management system. We have strong, healthy reserve accounts, which we use for future planning. We've invested district funds that were sitting in a no interest saving account into high interest accounts, and that has yielded us close to $1 million over the last couple of years. So really, really significant. We have been very, very ambitious with grant opportunities and cost-saving partnerships. Probably have earned over $500,000 in competitive grants over the last few years. We had the DEA salary guide adjustment, which was over 15% of an increase that was able to be put in so that we could retain and recruit our valued DEA members. We also adjusted custodial salaries so that we could be paying our custodians a livable wage, and they felt valued as well by the district. We have the Faber paving and drainage project. There's a new path from Pulaski Street, and we've done a lot with security in terms of our process, our signage, and our cameras. In terms of community engagement, we have our ESL parent classes going on. We have class tonight. There are 35 adults who are being instructed, which is incredible. We've done a lot of Title I and Title III family outreach activities and events. We had our Trees for Schools grant, which was a great partnership with the borough, where we had new trees planted throughout Gavornik Park, in the schools, Columbia Park, and other areas. We redesigned the website. We adopted Parent Square, which we've pushed out. We've been expanding preschool to try to get to universal, and we have other partnerships and borough support within Denellen and also external to that. So just a tremendous amount of work really focused on building the profile of the district and creating a more positive environment for everyone here. In terms of staffing, putting this list together is actually pretty amazing because it speaks to not only the number of staff members that we've added, but also the types of staff members that we've added. Over the last 3 years, we've added over 30 FTEs. And if you look at the list, it is a list filled with staff members whose primary job is to support students who are in need. So counselors, interventionists, ESL teachers, in-class support teachers, school-based wellness specialists, behaviorists, right? These are staff members who are working with vulnerable students, with students who need additional services, and we've also added strategic instructional positions as well. But this is really it's all about support. We have been able to support our students. We've been able to support staff members, thinking about cutting staff. Right. If we had received a 10% cut in state aid, thinking about cutting staff, I'm not sure where we would cut, right? And we've added over 30 positions. And so these are positions that I think are really necessary for the success of our district. In terms of general staffing supports, we've also expanded coaching at all levels. We have a significant expansion of PD opportunities. I gave this presentation to staff members after school today, and I noted that in the 21-22 school year, which is the year before I arrived, we had 100% carryover in Title II. Right, Title II is the federal fund that is designated for staff professional development. And that means that no Title II funds were spent to support staff members going on professional development opportunities. So we've significantly expanded that. We've also added certification and graduate degree options that are paid for by the district, which includes Wilson certification or Orton-Gillingham certification. We have students, we have staff members now who are working towards their master's degrees in computer science. And this is really all, obviously it's to better the staff member, but it's all in service of bettering the student experience. So with that as the backdrop, we want to understand what's going to come next and how do we think about next year. We maintain our 3 pillars. We talk about our core mission. The district goals are the district goals. There's no reason to change them. They're strong. And so when we think about what are we going to do next, right, here's where we are. The first thing is that as of next year, Denellen Public Schools will be able to offer universal preschool for all 3 and 4-year-olds. This is a monumental achievement. We have seats for over 90% of possible 3 and 4-year-olds in Denellen, and working with 2 private providers next year, we will have a projected total number of seats of 165. If you look at the timeline there from October 18th, 2023, which is when we first communicated preschool expansion, to September 2nd, which is the first school day of next year, we will have added 130 seats, which means that every 3-year-old and every 4-year-old in Denellen will be able to go to school for free in a high-quality preschool learning environment. So this is the foundation of students that are coming into the district, right, have this as their experience, right? As we move forward, we have continued focus on our 4 goal areas. So in terms of MTSS, which is a multi-tiered system of support, we have academics, we have SEL and wellness, operational efficacy, and community engagement. And you will notice that many of these things are the same as what we're doing now, because we're doing the right things. So instructional improvements, assessment, screening, and data collection, aligning our interventions, working with PLCs and staff collaboration, inclusive environments for multilingual learners and special students with special needs, staff training, right? Thinking about SEL, you have all of that information there. School climate goal setting and student goal setting, which has really begun this year. Push in behavioral supports, which is something that we've not been able to offer in the past, but now with a behaviorist and RBTs, we have that. Data collection on behavior and other indicators, absenteeism, school avoidance, other sorts of things. From an operational efficacy place, we're looking at infrastructure, technology, and E-rate projects, grant offsets. We will continue construction and room upgrades. The business office improvements has been something that's somewhat invisible from the student side, but our business office processes have become much more efficient in terms of working with vendors and purchase orders and requisitions and that sort of thing. And you'll recall that the audit that was presented at the end of January had no findings, which meant that the work from last year was very, very strong and done according to the law. And then HR excellence is something that we're really trying to work on in terms of being able to provide service for our staff members. So we have a staff handbook, which is 98% done, but not yet passed out or sent out, distributed to staff members, where we basically identify all of the kinds of things that we can do for staff, how staff members can be serviced by the Department of Human Resources, who to go to, those sorts of things, so that we don't bring someone on and then them just sort of flounder because they don't know what types of supports are available. So that's a really big, important issue that we're working on as well. In terms of community engagement, we still will be working with Parent Square, and we're going to try to figure out new ways to get parents using the app, more family engagement, improving our partnerships with Denellen and Middlesex County. We've been working, trying to get food bank partnership through Replenish, which is something that we are very likely to move forward with. So that's been a very cool thing, and obviously we're going to continue with our adult ESL classes. In terms of updates and improvement, curriculum and instruction, you can see the list there. It is primarily new resources and new structures, right? In terms of math, we've been working with building thinking classrooms. In terms of staff support, we will continue our certification and training programs for Wilson Reading Certification. We're also looking at multisensory math. We'll continue our work with Up the Bar, Deanna Opatovsky at the elementary level. We'll start to push into the middle school, supporting our new ELA resource implementation. And in terms of special education, we're going to be expanding in-class resource model so that we have more special education teachers, certificated staff members in those classrooms. And we're adding registered behavioral therapists, which are paraprofessional positions who have background in behavioral support. So they'll be able to assist in challenging situations. And then we're also updating curriculum tools there. We're looking at some additional staff members for next year. We haven't made final decisions. Final decisions will be shared at the May budget presentation. But again, interventionists, potentially in grades 6 through 12, special education teachers, a speech therapist, another ENL teacher, ESL teacher, RBTs, and instructional coach. From a facilities perspective, we have a capital projects and reserves information listed. We have an anticipated balance of over $5 million in capital reserve at the end of this year. That is anticipated, right? We won't know that number until it is audited in January of 2026. But we also have a significant decrease pending because of the UPK, Universal Pre-K Facilities Project. And that is about $2.6 million from the district's share that will be dedicated to that. So we're projecting a balance of about 870,000 at the end of next year. And obviously these are all anticipated and projected numbers. They're not audited numbers. In terms of capital projects, we have some significant things that we're looking at from the operating budget: ADA upgrades, window replacements. We've had a lot of conversation about windows for the last couple of years. There are some situations that need to be remedied. And then a lot of exterior signage for student safety, community safety, and wayfinding. And then through the capital reserve, obviously our UPK grant, which is a $6 million project, the state is paying for $3.46 million of it, and we will pay for the rest through capital reserve. We have a lot of masonry repairs, facade repair issues, primarily in this building, which we'll address. And then we also have bathroom or toilet room renovations, which will be a significant cost as well. All that is to say that we don't do this alone. We also have a number of partnerships and shared services that we take advantage of. So the district is strong, but we also have a very strong and positive relationship with the borough. Obviously, Columbia Park is sort of the big one, but we also have shared services in custodial and maintenance services, in technology, in school security. We've been working on one project. There's been tremendous amount of collaboration between Denellen PD and the district, and they've been very helpful with us. In terms of transportation, we have partnerships with a number of school districts in the area. And then one thing that really has exploded this year is the expansion of our cooperative pricing systems. And that is really Mr. Pepe looking at where can we find vendors that will provide us with more competitive pricing. And the co-op systems really have been very beneficial for the district. So, all right, so that is the overview of things. Right, now I'm going to get into the money part of it. I'm going to go a little faster through this. All the information is there. Again, this is all posted on the website. I don't need to do all the math on the fly for you, but this is where we talk about the specific funding. So we have 3 buckets of revenues. The first is the general fund. And so we're looking at a local tax levy increase of 2%. We also receive state categorical aid, federal aid through SEMI, which is Medicaid reimbursement, which we understand is going to be slashed significantly across the country. And then we also have miscellaneous revenues. From revenues, right, we also have to take into account withdrawal from reserves. So when we take our reserve accounts and we bring them into the general fund to pay for things, right, that counts as a withdrawal from reserves, but it also counts as a revenue on the general fund side. Budgeted fund balance is money in excess surplus from the prior year, and so we're carrying $1.7 million in budgeted fund balance, which is a slight increase from last year. Our special revenues fund is 3 sources. It's federal, state through PEA, and local sort of other sources. So you'll see this same slide on the appropriations side, but we are budgeting 75% for our title funds. Typically, we've in the past budgeted 85%, but with the uncertainty around funding for Title I, Title II, Title III, and Title IV, we're budgeting 75%, which we think is a safe number. IDEA, we're still going to budget 85%. It seems to be that IDEA is not going to be significantly cut, and certainly we hope that it's not. We have preschool expansion aid. We increased the number of seats, and we increased the amount of revenue as well. So we received $957,000 more in state aid for preschool, so we're up to $2.5 million. That's about as high as we're going to get, not too much more as we keep going. And then we have other sources. We have the NJ-SIG safety grant, which the funding information is not yet available. Our general fund contribution to PEA is money we shift from the general fund to the preschool expansion account to service students with special needs that are in our preschool programs. And then we also have student activities. So in summary, oh no, one more. And then the debt service fund, which is the money that we owe on bonds. And so this is revenues related to debt service. So we have part of our local tax levy goes to the repayment of the 2012 bonds. We also withdraw money every year from our capital reserve to pay for the 2019 referendum project, and that was one of the sort of deals that was made between the prior administration and the taxpayers when those projects were put together. And then we have state debt service aid, which we collect as well, and those items allow us to pay towards the bonds that we have collected, that we've borrowed against. So in summary, we have revenues here, right? You will notice that there is a significant increase in revenues. A lot of that does have to do with the preschool expansion facilities project, but you can see sort of the overview there. On the appropriations side, we have appropriations is sort of like expenditures, but we haven't spent it yet, so it's the money that we're putting towards future spending. So we have general education, special education, facilities, benefits, and administrative costs, and you can see the increases there. That difference in facilities from $4 million to $6.8 million is primarily, again, because of the preschool facilities project. And so really the biggest driver here other than that is employee benefits. We have a significant health benefits increase and Social Security and things like that, but we also have more staff members. And so as we build staff, right, then we also accrue additional costs and benefit costs, which sort of comes with that sort of expansion. This is the same exact slide as the revenue side, because our goal is to basically spend all of the title funds that we can. So whatever we're allocated, we spend it, so it comes in and it comes out. And then in terms of appropriations for debt service, we pay our debt obligations in two ways, just as anyone does. If you have a mortgage, part of your payment goes to principal and part of your payment goes to interest. And as you can see, as time goes on, and as you know, you pay more towards principal than you do interest, and that's really sort of the direction that we're going on. So 10% decrease in interest is good. It means that we're getting towards the end of some of the bond payments that are going to be required. And so in summary, we have the appropriations overall. And again, if you want to go back, the details are listed on the slide that's shown there, so you can double check that. By type, our general fund appropriations, we have a 42.5% of our general fund is allocated to salaries, and 17.4% of it is employee benefits. Now, this is about 60% of the overall budget, and typically districts carry about 70 to 80% of their budget in staffing. The reason that ours is about 60% is really, again, because of the significant facilities project. And because that counts as an appropriation, that sort of bumps everything up there. But you can see kind of how we break things down. But that 9.6% of capital outlay is sort of, messes with the chart a little bit. And then by category, this is basically the information that I showed on the chart, but done as a pie chart. So you can see, kind of the share of general education, special education, facilities, benefits, et cetera. So, in summary, we have a balanced budget. This is the slide I have joked the last few years. This is Mr. Pepe's favorite slide. It shows that the revenues are equal to the appropriations, and the dark box shows exactly the same information, which means that your balance is budget. All the revenues equal the proposed appropriations, and so we're good to go. When we look at tax impact, the district is planning a 2% overall increase. The net tax impact is 1.94%. On this is an incremental change of $41.81 per $100,000 in assessed value. So the average assessed home in Dunellen is $461,604. Which means that that home would see a $193 increase in the school tax portion of taxes for next year, which is about $15 per month or so. And so with that, the budget process has been an inclusive and collaborative process. Our administrative team has been very involved in this. Our tentative budget maintains all of the existing programs and staff, also provides additional enhancements, and this now gets submitted to the Executive County Superintendent's Office. They will review the tentative budget submission. If they have any feedback, we'll make some adjustments, and then we will plan to adopt the final budget on May 6th. And with that, I will open up to questions or comments. Seeing